little bit of a jarring, headline here, but I will say it's pretty accurate. So, number one, I don't know, if how many of you have seen this, but the U.S. has been struggling in education for decades, and there's an education scorecard that comes out, and there was the most recent scorecard in terms of U.S. performance showed that student performance is actually worse now than it was 10 years ago, and it is um, uh, zero point 0.6 grades. Students are performing zero point 0.6 grades lower in reading on average than they were 10 years ago. That was, I think, 2025 to back to 2015, and zero point 0.4 years in math. So if you just think about that, that means basically kids are a half year behind in the US where they were 10 years ago. And that's a big deal. That's not good. Um, so what typically happens, on one hand, the educational community looks for solutions. On the other hand, they look for where to assign blame. And so one of the things that is happening a lot in the marketplace right now is there is, you know, school districts and school leaders are looking at data that shows, among other things, that the amount of screen time students spend, and the amount of social media usage, the amount of time they spend on social media, actually has an inverse impact, on it, is inversely. I'm trying to think about how to say this. Their performance goes down based on the more screen time they have and the more social media they use. Now, there's an important detail in there that's the what they use, whether they're using recreational media or other things, versus really well developed educational media. But that is, or digital products, but that is often not really factored in. In addition to that, during COVID, kids went to school in the U.S. primarily at home during the period when we were essentially, I don't want to say lockdown or whatever, but going through COVID for a year plus. Students went to school virtually, and school districts didn't do a very good job of this. And so, for teachers and other educators, and even parents and many parents and students, the whole idea of going to school digitally became associated with really a negative experience. And so, both with the performance issues, the challenges around screen time, and so forth, have resulted in really at one point earlier in my career, there was this steady growth of educational technology. There's been a backlash against it, and a movement to, let's go back to print books, let's go back to hands-on, let's go, use manipulatives. You have states, Utah and Iowa, limiting amount of screen time. You have Los Angeles Unified School District that has recently introduced policies to limit the amount of screen time that students spend, and that is spreading, across the country. And so, more than ever, educational technology needs to prove its worth. So back to the point Star Sheet was mentioning, if things aren't working, that's great for all the naysayers, because then that just validates the concerns they already have.